Hey guys, I'm back down here working on the Wrangler. So I got the TAC module in for the drive-by wire. It's in, and then I got the wires for the ignition for power, start, run, and start. An accessory ran to the ignition switch. So and then I got them put in the fuse box. And I'm just checking continuity, making sure this is working right. So I got it hooked. It's going to the power wire that feeds the ignition, and then the other one is on the start run relay, the pin for the start run relay, the trigger. So that's the start run, and then this is the start relay, the trigger pin for it. Doesn't come on when you turn the key on. Maybe I can see. You can hear it beeping. So everything's looking right so far. Deacon dog. Yeah. So I can getting that worked, getting it to where it's working. So I got to run a couple more wires in here. But once I get them ran, then I can get the intake back on and get the harness. It's just sitting on there. Get the intake back on. Get the fuel line ran from the tank. Still got to do that. But yeah, we're getting there. And yeah, trying to figure out where everything's going. Here's my battery tray I've made. It's gonna get cleaned up a little bit. It's just getting it roughed in right now. It's coming slowly. Then I think, yeah, there it is. So I got to spare one of these fuse boxes. I've been using it for mock-up, so I don't have to mess with this one because it's got all the wires ran to it. But it's gonna go right about there, and then it'll flip open. I got the lid. It's up in my garage. And then this is the Tickum or Total Integrated something, I don't know, for the Jeep side. It's gonna go here. Then I'm gonna put the PCM for the, or ECU, whatever you want to call it, for the LS. It's gonna be right here where my pinky's at. It'll be in between the fender and this. All it is just the fuse box for the Jeep side. But it's got I don't know, it's got a computer in it. I don't know if it's something to do with the CAN bus or what, but she's coming slowly. I don't know. I keep telling myself this weekend I'm gonna get it started. This weekend I'm gonna get started, and then I haven't got it started. So I don't know. I'm just not saying it now. I just quit saying, next week I'm gonna get it running. Next week I'm gonna get it running. So I don't know. Just working on it. Not trying to rush. I just want to kind of try to do everything right. But she's coming. Oh yeah. Well, we'll work on her a little bit more. Alright, so it's been a second since I've been down here. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since I've worked on this thing. Well, I have been working on it on the weekends, but I haven't been videotaping it. But I got the battery tray in, and the LS computer is in, and I still need to go through and all the stuff for the cruise control, and then the cluster. I'm redoing the cluster. I'm not going to go with the stock cluster. And I'm going to go through the wire harness and just get rid of everything like the ABS. I was going to delete it like to where it's not on the actual brake system, but I was going to have it on there so it wasn't throwing a fit. But I'm just deleting it all because I'm getting rid of the stock cluster. I'm going to go with that way I don't have to tune the stock Jeep computer to fix the speedometer. And if it, well, I know it's gonna throw codes. It's gonna throw a lot of codes. But instead of having to deal with that, and I know there's gonna be lights everywhere, is what I'm trying to say. But instead of doing that, I'm gonna take this cluster back apart and I'm gonna cut the inside out, and I'm going to get boat gauges, because boat gauges run on the speedometer. It runs off GPS, and this speedometer was actually already off 5%, and that was with 33s, and I'm putting 35s on, so it's going to be off probably another 5%, if not more. So I'm just going to do away with that, and I'm going to go with the boat gauges. So, but I got it. This thing runs. I got the wire harness. It's all ready. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up for you guys so you can hear it. But it don't have the drive shafts in it. I'm working on the drive shafts right now, getting at least the rear rebuilt and cleaned up. Then I'll work on the front, and the rear is the more important part. So, but also there's some, I don't know if this computer needs tuned or what. I don't know if the guy that tuned it for me originally tuned the anti-theft out of it. I don't know if he might have accidentally put like a rev limiter in here, because this thing won't rev over like 1200 RPM. So I mean, it'll sit here and idle all day long, and if you hit the throttle, it'll kill it. So if you hold, I took some videos. I might put them in here after this part. But so I've done testing trying to figure out what was wrong. I ended up putting a node light on the injectors, and it's shutting the injectors off. If you hold that throttle down, the accelerator pedal down, it holds that blade wide open, like it's supposed to, and it'll kill itself without even moving that blade at all. So that blade is getting signal from the pedal to it, and I put a code reader on to check to see what the live data was doing. But I can, if I can hold it, it'll tell me, but I just got a cheap one and it's real laggy. So I can't tell real time data. I can only tell what it was doing, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't, yeah. So I know if you hold that clear, hold the accelerator pedal clear down on the scanner, it says it's at 100%. And then it's let off and it lets off. So I know it's not the accelerator pedal or the tack module or the throttle body, because it is getting back to the ECU that it is holding it open. So I know it knows it open. So the only thing I can think of is if it's got some sort of rev limiter on it. So I don't know. We're gonna see. We're almost started up so you can hear it run. But that's about all it does. It'll sit there and idle all day long, but as soon as you touch that throttle, it shuts the injectors off for some reason. So that's the only thing I can think of. Is it's got something in that computer. I don't know if it might not be a rev limiter. It might be some sort of limp mode, which that could be. Maybe it's in limp mode. It doesn't know. Well, it just doesn't know what's going on. But so it runs. But I got to get. I'm working on brakes and that drive shaft at the same time, kinda, and my accessory drives. But I can finish my accessory drives, but I can't put the belt on and run it without it yet, because I need to get my radiator back in and get cooling in the water pump so it's not just running dry. But yeah, it's coming slowly, but yeah. So I couldn't use the stock accessory bracket because I really wanted to, because I wanted to use the Chevy Saginaw power steering pump, because them are good pumps. Well, there's not enough room with this steering gearbox right here. There's not enough room for it to fit in here on the stock bracket. Then I started looking into building this bracket for it. Well, the length of it was not short enough to fit between where the pulley was going to be and the block, because we would have made it stick out way too far for the pulley. So I started looking at the Jeep power steering pump, and it's a lot shorter because it does not have the reservoir on it, and plus the pressure line comes out the top. Then this line came out and down. So I started looking at it, and it will fit. It's got plenty of room. So I got a bracket over here that I've worked on and made a standoff bracket. So I made this bracket. It'll bolt on there like that. It'll bolt on from the back side, and then there's going to be 3 holes, and the nut holes on the bracket, the main bracket, will be threaded, so I can bolt this to the power steering pump and then bolt the bracket to the main bracket, the accessory bracket. That way I don't have to pull the whole bracket off just to change the power steering pump. I hope I never have to, but you know how it goes. You plan to do one thing and it goes the exact opposite way. But I do have another spare in case I do need one, but I shouldn't, hopefully, because I mean it might be spinning a little faster, but it's going to be running the same equipment other than the hose. I'm going to have to run, I got adapters to run AN line. So then I made this little bracket. This port block, because this was located onto this hole and was pointing. It could either point down and out or up and out, and if it pointed up and out, it was getting into the pulley or into the belt, and if it goes down and out, it hits the gearbox, because on the stock 3.6, this is actually upside down from how I'm going to be mounting it, and it's on this side. So they had the power steering line run over to the frame, over this, not this cross member, because I replaced this one, and you've seen that in a previous video if you watched any of them. But it ran along this cross member and then up into the gearbox. So this will be a lot shorter, which another problem I'm running into is I don't know if that's going to be a problem with heat too. Depends that the stock system had such a long line that kind of acts as a cooler. So I'll probably have to put a inline cooler somewhere. But it should work. It's about, that's about where it's going to be sitting, right there. But the lines will go up and around the alternator bracket and stuff, so should work, hopefully. I don't know. I gotta do some more work on that bracket to make it work, because I wasn't paying attention when I welded. Well, I guess you can't see it because I welded the other side. But so I had these standoffs bolted to the pump, and I put this plate on. Well, I tack welded this one, and then I tack welded that one, and this one raised up off of the standoff, probably, I don't know, a 32nd of an inch, but it'll still throw that out of alignment for the belt. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll measure each one of these, make sure they're all parallel to each other. But if any of them are too long, I'll just mill them off. But that's about as far as I got since the last time I videoed. So right now I'm working on, I got to do, so the drive, oh, I didn't show you guys the drive shaft. I got it all painted up. It's all pretty and stuff, but I'm rebuilding them. I got new CVs and stuff, but I painted them white and put blue paint at the joints, kinda, to make it kind of look like it's PVC. Once it's dry, it's just a little bit tacky right now. But once it's dry, I'm going to take a red Sharpie marker and I'm going to write PVC and some other stuff on it that I probably can't say on YouTube, but because I mean, if you're that close, you could probably be reading it. If you're close enough to read it, you're probably too close to it, and you can probably tell that that's not PVC. But yeah, I'm working on. I painted those. I got my rebuild CV joints, and I got some good Molygraph grease for them. And I got another thing about those stock Deacon Dog. The stock front drive shaft, which sucks, but I mean, mine's pretty tight. They don't move at all. But they are non-serviceable, as in you cannot change the actual joint itself at all, because the ring around here is swedged in to where you can't get them joints back out, and there's no provision for a C-clip, either the outside or the inside C-clip. So, but luckily this one's still good, so that's fine. And then I got to get a new boot for this, but I don't have to have the front drive shaft in and get it to move. I'm gonna throw basically all I'm doing this weekend is I'm getting drive shaft in, and I'm going to redo the brake lines to get rid of the ABS block and motor, and it's just going to be straight brake lines. I got a proportioning valve that I got to put in. But so yeah, basically this weekend I'm going to get it running and moving under its own power is the idea. But so I'm going to get to work, and I'm going to get brake lines shortened, and I'm going to probably start working on the body harness and getting it cut down, because I'm going to like I said, I'm going to get rid of all that stuff. Spends that I'm going to go with a different gauge cluster anyways. So we're gonna see how it goes. Let's get to it. So been down here working on this thing. I've been working on it every weekend. It's been a couple weeks since I've videoed, but I've got the engine bay, the Jeep side of the engine bay harness. It's ran in the loom and ran. I just need to get the nuts to go on them studs to hold the. I just got these zip ties. I got the male ones, but these ones, but I couldn't find any of the female that have that retaining barb on it. But I found these, maybe focus, and my plan is they just slide over those 6mm studs, and I bought some nuts, and I'll just run them nuts down over it, and it'll hold them in. But so I cut the LS harness down because there was a big ball of wire down here. It's a lot better than it was before, but it may not look the prettiest, but it is 10 times better than it was. Here's isn't everything I cut out of it, but because I've been using some of the wires for extensions on, like I got the dash. So I tore the airbag and all that stuff back out, and then took all the harness that I had wired for the ignition and for the tack module. I pulled everything back out because I needed more wires for my dash, because I ended up going with getting gauges. I'm going to build a cluster for it. So tore all that back out, and I got 1-inch that 1-inch loom stuff that I've been using. Oh, you can see it there, but that nylon loom, that loom stuff. But so I ran it all the way in. I got all my wires. This is all. I'm going to have these ones will be going, so I'm going to have a bus bar, it'd be 3 bus bars. There's going to be a ground, constant power, and a accessory power. So if I ever needed to wire anything inside the Jeep, I'm going to have all the power that I'll need, and it'll just be back behind the radio. And I'm going to build a center console thing. It's going to have the radio. I'm just using a single DIN radio, and then I'm going to have my switches up top, and then I'll have the cruise control. I don't know where it's going to be, but it'll be on that center console piece, and then it'll be flat on the bottom, and you'll still have my stock vents coming out. And probably still have the stock. There's a little pocket here for putting stuff in. I'll probably still have that, but that's what all this stuff's for. I'm gonna have my cooling fan bypass, so I can manually override it. And then I got a 3 and 4. I got 6 switches altogether. So I got the 2 cooling fans, then 3 and 6, and 1 and 2, and then everything else is in here. So that's all the power, ground, illumination, memory for the cluster. And what's this? The horn. Oh yeah, I had to got my wheel in, but I had to run a wire for the horn, and a cruise control. What else we got in here? That's about it. Oh, there's the horn relay and my park lamp wire, and yeah, and just a ground. And then this red one will be constant, and then this green one I have as my accessory. I didn't really think through using green. I should have used like orange or pink. Probably pink probably would have been better. But yeah, I got it all ran in here, and then I got, this is all from my gauges. I got a wire running down to the ignition. Then I got my oil pressure and coolant temp. So all these braided wires, these came out of the stock Jeep harness. So basically I just repurposed them. And there's my, it's not focusing, power ground, illumination, memory, my fuel level, and then this is all, two of these will have to be go to the brake switch, and then one's my tach and one's my speedometer. And this one is my high beam, and I'm gonna have a low beam light indicator. Those are all up in the house. You'll see them when I start working on the cluster. And I got my turn signals, and I have pictures of these, so I know what everything actually, like, yeah. So one of these would be left and one of these would be right, and then it'd just be a hot. I just spliced into the wire harness going to the front clip for all the lights. So all my lights are ran off of the actual lights. I'm hoping this is going to work. I'm hoping I'm not going to have flicker in the instrument panel on the indicator lights. But yeah, I'll have, and I bought this module thing for my fuel, so I can actually set my gauge to whatever I want, because on these it's like 110, 0 to 110 ohms for the yeah, the fuel sending in it. So I'm gonna put a resistor on there and get it down to 90 ohms, but it's still not going to be the right scale. So I'm going to make up for that. You can set like 4 points on your gauge with this little module I bought. It's I think it's called a fuel gauge bridge is what it is, but it'll also be back in here. And I'm going to make the faceplate of this, it's going to be hinged on one side, and then it's going to have, I don't know if I'm going to do bolts or screws, or like a thumb screws probably, maybe, I don't know. But it's going to be to where it'll hinge out, and I'll have access to my 3 bus bars, and then I'll have the access to all of the back of my switches and my radio. And yeah, it's slowly coming, but this is how far I've got so far. That made sense, huh? But slowly. Then I didn't like how the LS harness, they had it, this is just taped up to keep dust out of them, but because I've been moving this thing all around. I'm just now getting them set back to where everything needs to be. But so I didn't like how those were in. They didn't have the little gray caps on them either, so the wires were just out in the open. So I got the gray caps, and they should fit. But then these things, these little, I don't even know how to pronounce them. These little wire connectors are just handy as frig. I'm not sure how long I'm going to go on this video. Oh, I guess this is going to be the end of the video. But these little things, made in China, but I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. But that brand of connector, they're just handy. But yeah, I might figure out how many wires I'm going to be running to my cluster, and I might get one for my cluster to where I can unplug it and pull it clear out, instead of having the cluster attached to the main harness and having to do everything in the Jeep. If I ever need to mess with the wiring or something, I can just unplug it, pull it clear out. So But yeah, that's about as far as I got so far. I tore the airbag and all that stuff out and pulled the harness and re-loomed it tonight. I did the Jeep side engine bay harness. I did that tonight. And I pulled the computer out and refastened all the core support harness. I refastened it in. Oh, there's a ground I need to connect. I better do that now. But I'll do it. I won't forget it, or I will, and then I'll be kicking myself. But yeah, this is as far as it's coming. But that's my update. But really hoping to kick more videos out, but just everything on this is just little stuff here and there, and it's, I don't know, I don't feel like it's worth filming everything on this. So I'm probably just going to keep doing updates like this, because there's a lot of little stuff that I need to do. But I knocked quite a bit out tonight. Finished almost all of the wire harness, other than just the instrument cluster, and then I gotta wire all these in. So that was that's my horn, fuel pump positive, then my fan, that's my fan bypass, then my switches 1, 2, 3, and 4, those will go to relays. And then here's my cooling fan wires from the LS ECU. But yeah, slowly. I'll get her one of these days. I don't know if I showed my brake line. Some fancy brake lines going on in here. Right across there. I probably did, and you guys are probably yelling at me, telling me, oh, you already showed us that. But yeah, I gotta run my rear brake line, or try to figure out how to. It's on that stock brake line. It still has the stock brake lines ran clear to the front for the back. They're right here. But it's got that plastic coating on it, and I can't figure out an effective way to get it off there. I was thinking about heat, but I don't know what I'm doing. I think I might just run a whole new line back. We'll see one of these days. Maybe that's what I'll work on tomorrow, beginning of the next video. But yeah, well, thanks for watching. Yeah, I take a while on getting these posted, but I want to start getting them out faster. But like I said, there's a lot of little stuff that I need to do this time. We'll get there. Maybe one of these days I'll have it running. Hopefully. I'm supposed to be taking it to Colorado this year, but still on schedule for that. Maybe I'll take videos out there. That'd be cool. Off-road and rock crawling. But thanks for watching.